implemented our business, we need to find ways of funding the business. Sometimes you need to fund the business before, and sometimes even after you start a business, you still need some funding. So our sister Khadija will take that for us. So what are the options available for funding business, and then what are the considerations you have to consider when choosing a funding option?
I've been given 10 minutes because frankly, the bosses have done it all. Doc et al. Thank you for taking us through, but permit your little sister to just come in with these few things. I'm asked on business investment, and I think we should know what business investment is. Usually, it's not just about allocating of resources, only financial resources. Sometimes we acquire assets to improve operations in expectation that we can make profit in return in the future. It can include maybe a capital expenditure for purchasing a physical asset. It can include how we retrain our human capital in our environment. It can include research and development to remodify or reproduce or introduce new products into the market. There are a lot of funding options that can be used to finance investment in our continent, right, and Ghana specifically. Some are popular and some are just emerging, right? One of the few things I want to touch on, which is actually coming up, but a lot of people are not taking advantage, is grants. And popular to most businesses in Ghana, there are a lot of numerous grants in the country. And most of these people, as Mr. Bismarck and Prof said earlier, they are looking forward to those who can crack the nut, those who can crack the code outside the box. That in as much as we are making the profit, we are not hurting the planet. So you have to make sure that whatever you are doing falls in between this to be able to access these grants. Few of this are the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, the Export Development and Agriculture, etc. Then we have loans which are popular to us. In Ghana, almost every commercial bank is now ready to provide loans to businesses. In fact, the only thing is that the cost of capital sometimes is so huge and draining. And most of the businesses, when they are going in for such one, this does not seek or do not seek expert advices on what would befall them. And at the end of the day, my professor did a study on SME and said, at least in Ghana, the first 5 years as a starter, if you are able to stand, then we say kudos to you, there's a future. But most businesses fail, most startups fail within the first 5 years. Another source of funding is family and support. For instance, I've heard about 3 people here saying their wives, they do businesses with their spouse, etc. But so you know, they didn't go out for a loan or they didn't go out for a grant. It was a family, it was a friend. They have realized that you have the cash and they will come and give you a proposal that is very appealing, that you believe in it, and you decided to put your money in there. According to the World Bank Global Financial Inclusion Index, as of 2011, 28% of Ghanaians got their funding on startup, on family and friend support. Fast forward to 2021, the figure rose to 39%. That tells you how much potential we have if we are able to convince our spouses, our uncles, our rich uncles that these are the business ideas and they are viable. We have investors. Today, investors are flooded all over, as Mr. Kwesi was saying, or was it Doc, that some of them are not just looking up to make that profit. Some of them are just there to solve a problem. And the trend is very evident. If your business goals are towards sustainability, the number of people who come on board are way more than those who are saying we are doing the traditional sales. What are you doing to make that difference? And he gave an example of a guy doing sanitary pad with Soso. I have actually followed that guy trend. I think he won some huge amount of money in dollars, I think during the COVID or just after the COVID. And I followed it up somehow because I was doing a particular research and I realized they still not really scale up like they have presented, they have pitched. And one thing I found out was that some of the funds was diverted to him opening a business, food joint business, Happy Day Love or something, right? And All these things have implications, but that is just to say that investors are there with so much money that if your businesses are following the ESG and you are able to present your case right, you will get the funding to finance your investment. Of course, we have personal saving, we have retained earning, we have equity financing. Personal savings is what you and I will put together and focus by March 2025, I want to start up a business, and this is how I want it to go. I want to start it with my own money, believing in myself, taking that risk or low risk. It can be retained earning, it can be a business you're already running, and you have the profit, and you refuse to spend it on maybe luxuries. You say, look, let's reinvest this and see how we can boost the business. It can be an equity finance where you're willing to give up some of your shares and return for some money to scale up. It can be partnership and joint ventures. And in Ghana, we saw some comparisons. Is it AT or something, Airtel and Chico? It could be that Airtel was not performing because of maybe technical skills, and maybe it could be that Tigo wasn't because of financial. They come together to be able to scale up, and at the end of the day, there will be profit sharing, etc. Of course, we have crowdfunding, which I actually love because it is not really exploited. It's a valuable source of financing to businesses, especially startups. And I say in this, it democratizes access to capital. You don't need so much to be able to do it. You just need to get people who are experienced to guide you through, to present a clearer and an honest case. And at the end of the day, you get things done. With flexible models such as reward-based, equity-based, or debt-based. And you can do it but people have done it. And I was also asked that what are the key considerations go into when choosing funding options. They are so basic. One is funding availability. It's not all funds that are available to all the businesses at the same time. You have to know Cosmos is focused on sponsoring businesses or startups that are into this. You have to fall into that category before you come pitching your proposal. I cannot get up and take my dawa business and go and pitch a Cosmos. But Farid can get up and pitch his sanitary pad business because he fit into the horizon in which they believe in and in which they are rooting for. We have to look at cost of capital. It does not matter even if there are grants. I always say that there's always going to be cost of capital on everything. It can be cost, it can be interest rate, it can be fees, it can be conditions, or giving up equity, for example. And most businesses would not consult anybody. They just go in, oh, this is money. And at the end of the day, they sign contract. They didn't involve any expert to read and understand and tell them the implications. And at the end of the day, they find themselves wanting. We also have business stage and size. I cannot just be a starter and I'll get up that I am going to look for crowdfunding of 15,000 when I haven't started and tested the market and know how it will go. Depending on the stages you are. As a startup, usually you see personal financing, retained earnings, farming support coming inside, right? The crowdfunding comes in when you are more certain and established. When you have gotten to certain level, you know these would actually work. And we also have to look at the repayment terms. You just don't get up and go to ADB, they give you loan and they say 5 years and all that. You have to look at what really goes in. You have to know your basic NPVs, how the payback period will look like, etc. Like Doc was saying, you cannot just get up and you don't have the skill and you want to do it because others are doing it. If you are doing a business, it's your wife that has a skill here, let her be in charge of that and perhaps learn. If your husband don't know something and you think it would help the business, you have to bring them, zoom them in and let you learn together. And I'm sure while Mr. Bismarck was saying that they have presence on social media, I'm sure he is forcefully or he has to be forced to learn social media marketing. He has to force to like extreme customer relationships. Sometimes they can be very annoying, but you have to brief him because you know where you are going. You are very strategic and not because everybody is doing it. He has to learn how to edit catchy videos, and all these things come in. It also boils down to also your risk tolerance level. What is the level of risk you are able to tolerate as a business? Loans would definitely increase your liability, which is fine. If you know how to navigate, you can come out, while equity financing would also come with what? Investor pressure and potential conflict over how the businesses will go. And it's all fine. When you have the technical know-how around all these things, you can be able to navigate. One last thing I want to add is regulatory and legal advisory services. We do not care. When you are investing in anything, you have to know what are the tax implications. What is the implication on the regulatory framework on this part, this part, this part. In our part of the world, financial advisory services is the list. Just few serious ones, but once they have their money, and new people who just have, I have 50,000, I want to start cosmetics, and they will take it boom to market, low market, and go and look for wholesalers and do 6 months along the line, it's collapsing because there's no strategy. They didn't do any market research. They didn't know their target customers, etc. I know people who go in to take loans, and at the end of the day, it boils back to hit the business. Where it shouldn't have failed, it has failed even prior before where it's supposed to fail. So that's the summary of what I want to add and all the it has been said today. Dr. Barton, I hope I'm able to do it within the 10 minutes. Mr. Kwesi,
Yeah, that
let's
was
see.
perfect. Yeah.
I have a quick question just for
Oh, okay.
clarification for our audience sake.
That's okay.
What's the difference between loans and grants? Just a quick one.
Yeah, so grants is basically monies people come to give you, right, as support. In fact, let me come clear. We have conditional and unconditional grants. With the conditional grants, you are supposed to meet certain things. You are supposed not to, maybe they're coming to give you a particular grant in Ghana, you are not supposed to legalize LGBTQ and they will support this and that to be able to take. There are some that are unconditional. You have the idea and it's brilliant, and they are already looking to solve a problem. So they are just supporting you, like the National Entrepreneurship Center, like this. You realize that they are what? Willing to motivate the youth to enter into agri, to be entrepreneurs, because they realize that government cannot really create the job for everybody. So they are looking at what? Solving the unemployment situation in Ghana. And they are coming to tell, look, we will motivate you. If you have the idea and it is doable, we are going to motivate you to do that. But these are some of the things we want you to come and do progress report, etc. But with a loan, it's a liability. You are going to take it on terms that you'll come and pay back in 3 years on this particular rate. They'll give you 30% per annum whatsoever. With a loan in Ghana, it's not really good for startups because sometimes the cost of capital is just too much. You know, with the fluctuations on our economy, if you don't get things right, it might not really benefit you like that. So in any day, the grants are more flexible for you because, of course, you are still obliged to make sure that you don't fail. But with the loan, you are obliged and extremely obliged. That kind of thing, because there's repayment.
Thank you very much. And I would want to add that investors can apply for multiple grants as long as they meet the criteria. And sometimes there are a lot of advertisement about grants opening in the form of competition.
Yeah.
So people can look out for such possibilities. Thank you very much.
And I think if you win grants, it becomes even more easier to win more grants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because essentially, you have the base documents, and also your credibility is enhanced
Yes,
if you're able to win.
yes.
So you just make sure you win the first one. Usually it takes other ones.
Yes, okay. Thank
And
you.
then I have also seen these lions. I think it's a kind of but I think it's equity. It falls under the equity form of financing where these investors have a panel discussion and you pitch your idea and then they tell you how much. Pardon?
Lions Den.
Yeah, Lions Den. Yeah, exactly. So I
They have
think
one
that
in the US, Tap
you.
Tank or something.
UK too, they do it there. So I
Yeah.
think, and sometimes it doesn't even matter if your business is not in the particular country, as long as they see the viability of your business and also the potential to
Yeah.
grow and expand. they would always make you an offer. And sometimes, like they said, you really need an expert opinion, expert advice to understand that the offer that is coming in would be ideal for my business. So I
Yeah.
think I would want to end here on that issue.
So, yeah, by the way, it was Dragons Den, not Lions Den. Dragons Den, and then the US won the Shark Tank. All right. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. So now I'm going to ask just a question, and we have probably two of the panel just respond quickly. So what are some of the challenges that entrepreneurs face in Ghana and Africa, and what are some of the factors that the reasons why businesses fail in that part of the world? Any one of you can take that.
I think that basically they mentioned them throughout their discussion, but it was not kind of itemized in a way that we wanted
Yeah.
to present it. But yeah, I feel like if
One thing is access to finance.
okay.
Yes.
Mm.
One key thing is access to finance, some of the key challenges. And it's been documented all over the literature that we always have issues when it comes to access to finance. And that's why you see all these people coming up with initiatives to tell you that, oh, can we have the money? We are going to give the support to start a business. You see how the NAPCO even ended. They said people should venture into agriculture, but even though it was a field policy at the end of the day, but it's always access to finance in the literature in a way, and every interpretation. In fact, Mr. Bismarck was saying that customer relationship, right? Sometimes we copycat and we don't really know our stats. We just want to do because another person is doing. So they will not take their time to identify what particular group of people I really want to work with just because somebody's selling straight dresses you're selling. An example is women clothing in Ghana, especially when it comes to female. Just some few years back, I knew a brand. In fact, I had even modeled low key word their address on TV for them to sell. And fast forward, I mean, everybody has one is opening a dress shop for them. You go to Nima and they're just sitting down, nobody's selling, nobody's buying anyone. And those girls who started it and I knew them are still going because they realized that that couldn't be a sustainable one. So they diversify. You can't continue to be doing one thing at a time. Like Doc just mentioned, or who mentioned that Nathan is going away, right?
Richard.
They could have what? Scale up. If you want to say you are selling sobolo and then in the next 2 years, every day the ingredients you are doing, you are not, people are being diagnosed with diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. You cannot have other things, natural things to make sure that you scale up. For them, you are going to fail. But among the many things, regulatory hardships are also there. Sometimes you want to do the right thing. The regulatory stress alone will just piss you up and you go. The last time I tried working on shea butter, I had gone to the Food and Drugs Board like a million times. And at the end of the day, they are telling me to pay bribe. That is no, that is okay. In return, the paying of the bribe, they don't even want to test the product. They say, we can just do it for you. And you are also scared of what? Your credibility. So corruption is also another key thing. Because then those who are even trying to do it the right way, it's not easy. As a startup, the frustration you go through alone is just enough to tell you to pause and put your money under the ground in your house, tie it in a rubber.
All right. I think what I can add to that as I was still one idea from Dr. Kawo, which or Seiram, I don't know which of them is the same name or which of them is the first name, but that's just by the way, is the fact that absentee investors or business owners is one recipe for collapse of business. And then some way, somehow, per my experience, investing in an area where your expertise are quite limited, like in terms of real investment or active investment, where your expertise are quite limited in matters where your employees are not trustworthy or are not performing as you would want them to perform, and you cannot stand in and do the thing by yourself, it can cause the collapse or the fall of business. So and I have practical experience with it. I opened a hairdressing salon, and the market was quite good for the black community in Prague. And I had one lady in mind. She braids hair, and one braiding of one hair here was maybe about more than 1,500 Ghana cedis. That is good money. But along the line, we were preparing during the COVID season. So when the COVID was over, we could zoom into business. Along the line, she just got pregnant, and she was 6 to 7 months pregnant. I couldn't do anything. I have paid rent and stuff. I was trying to keep the business running until she would be able to come in and take full charge of it. And I was just paying rent and paying money to people who will come and work temporarily. The business ended up collapsing. So that is one big issue to look at when you are going into business.
Yeah, it's very true that when you are investing, a lot of businesses collapse because the entrepreneurs venture into areas that they don't have special expertise in. And once you don't have special expertise in that particular area, you tend to struggle. A lot more of them also try to do the business without evaluating the business very well. So once you don't do planning, you don't know the costing that is involved, the business will eventually go down. We also have people who do not separate the business from themselves. The business is the same as the same person. And so the funds that you have put in the business, you are using it for your personal things as well. So whether the business is growing or not, it becomes very difficult for you to look at that. So it's always very important that you try to separate your business from that of yourself, so that at the end of the day, if your business is growing, if you are making profit, you know that the profit is helping the business. Most businesses also fail because the profits that are made are all used up. So I made 10 Ghana cedis or 100 Ghana cedis today. I eat up the 100 Ghana cedis that I have made over time. And I did not plow back some of the profit into the business. At the end of the day, it also let the business goes down. We also have lack of succession planning. Businesses do not plan, or the owners of these ventures and small scale businesses do not plan very well who should take over when they are no longer there. And so once they are not available, it poses a problem. And let me add the last one from my side, lack of discipline. We have businesses that the owners are not disciplined themselves. They mix pleasure with business. The workers are not disciplined. And so it becomes a serious issue. I have consulted with one manufacturing company in Accra. They are located around Sprinters Road. And this company in Ghana employs more than 2,000 workers. And their main issue is a foreign company. Their main issue is that the Ghanaian worker do not understand their perspective. And they are of the view that I shouldn't tell them they will need training because they have given them training. They use case studies. All these things are not working. What new thing do I have to offer them? So I went around the company for about an hour, went to some offices, and the work that people are supposed to do, they are on their phones or they are on social media. They are not doing the work. So when I came back, I told them that it's about discipline. If the worker is well disciplined and comes to the work, the person will do the right thing. And so I would recommend that they go to the military training school in the jungle. They will take them through the type of training that will let them be more disciplined. And they were surprised. I linked them up with the military. They went there for 2 weeks, and when they came back, they called that things have changed over time. And so, if we as owners of businesses, we mean business, we do not mix pleasure with business, it will also help us a lot, especially those of us who are young men and women who are into business. I have a situation where a young woman came to ask for a loan for a business. I'm not into provision of loans. And these young people, when they come for loans, you must know that your loan will not come back. Your money will not. And I really do not want that to happen. So I told her that if I want to help you with the money, though it's 0% interest, you must pay back. But the money is not for me. I'll talk with my wife. And my wife will be the one that will send the money to you. And you have to make sure that you pay the money back the time you have promised so that you don't spoil my marriage. So I spoke with my wife, and my wife sent the money. When the time came, the lady was able to pay that particular one. And that saved me at that point in time. And so it's also very important, especially husband and wife who are into businesses that they are doing. Communicate effectively among yourself. Let your rules be one, and be firm on whatever you are doing. A lot of people also try to do business with friends and families. If you are in business, avoid friends and families. And don't do business with people that you cannot sack. If you are working with people that you cannot sack them, then there is a problem, and they will run your business down for you. Thank you. There is the second aspect of the question.
Prof, yeah, but I feel like myself, I have another appointment and I'm the host, and when I end, it means that we're going to end. So,
Okay.
we may not have extended time to continue with the
Okay.
other aspect. However, we are still going to discuss. We want to have an entrepreneurship symposium or workshop for our 1 year anniversary somewhere next year. So
Okay.
we will fall back on some of you for the planning and the design of the whole program, and see what we can do to help our already existing businesses in Ghana, and also those who have the desire to enter into business. And I think we can capture more during this event. So we are also by this means informing our audience and listeners to prepare themselves for such an occasion. We may run it for a few days, somewhere towards the last quarter of the year. So we would keep you guys updated. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all for your wonderful contributions. It's been a particularly fruitful 2 weeks talking about business and investing and finance and all that. It was really good to listen to people that have that kind of knowledge. And so, yeah, I want to thank you all, Richard, Dr. Kawo, Bismarck, Khadija, and Daniel, who has left us. This will be the end of this particular investment and financing podcast, but there will be subsequent ones later down the road, and we will let you all know when that is up. And we will call on some of you again to come help us in the discussion. Thank you all very much. Bye.